You're learning with 9 to 5 English. Business English for the workplace. Hi, Tim here with another 9 to 5 English lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to talk about differences. Life and business is full of choices, and anytime you make a choice, you have to compare the options. You might think about how they are similar, as we did in our last lesson. And you might look at how they are different. Often, we compare things using an adjective like cheap or beautiful. Comparing with short adjectives like cheap is easy. We just say cheaper. In the same way, we say bigger, hotter, and nicer. But long adjectives are a bit different. We have to say more beautiful. How about giving this a try? Let's practice comparing with adjectives and some other expressions. Listen to each example, then repeat it yourself. Ready? Let's give it a go.
Fiona is definitely more experienced than Henry.
The new office is larger than our old one.
Laser and inkjet printers differ in terms of price.
Unlike Thomas, Charles has a background in engineering.
Great! So we heard some comparisons with adjectives. And we also heard that two things can differ in some way. That's the same as saying they are different. Things might differ in terms of price, or in terms of size, or in terms of any other quality. And one more way to show difference is with the word unlike. For example, unlike Tom, I live in Chicago. That just means that Tom doesn't live in Chicago. But sometimes we want to say that two things are very different. Not just a little different, but a lot. Well, if you're comparing with adjectives, you can add the word way or far before the adjective. For example, Tom is way smarter than me. Another way to say the same thing is, I'm not nearly as smart as Tom. In other words, I'm not even close to being equal to him in terms of being smart. Let's try a little practice with describing big differences. Once again, repeat the examples after you hear them.
The X500 is not nearly as powerful as the X2000.
Steel is way heavier than wood.
My brother Gus is nothing like me.
Google and IBM are completely different as organizations.
So, we heard way heavier and not nearly as powerful as. But did you hear any other expressions for showing a big difference? One way is to say something is nothing like something else. That means they are not similar in any way. it's the same as saying two things are completely different, which we also heard. But what if we want to show exactly what it is that is different? For example, I might want to say, Tom lives in Chicago and I live in New York. Well, this is really easy to do. You just need a little word to connect these ideas. A little word that says, these ideas are different. If you want to keep it simple, you can use the word but between your ideas. You could also use whereas or while. Let's try using some of these connecting words for making comparisons. Here we go.
Saturdays are always busy, whereas Mondays are usually quiet.
The Canon camera is automatic, while the Kodak is manual.
The Mercedes looks good, but it's too expensive.
In contrast to John's reports, Ronaldo's are very confusing.
So that last example we heard was a little different, wasn't it? The connecting words weren't in the middle, but at the start. That's possible with the expression in contrast to. So I might say, in contrast to Tom, I live in New York. Now that we've practiced some examples, let's hear how this sounds in a conversation. We're going to listen to a short dialogue between Anna and Sam. Anna is asking Sam about two people who have applied for a job, John and Byron. And Sam is talking about how John and Byron are different. Let's listen.
So, what did you think of the two job applicants?
Well, John is not nearly as confident as Byron.
Yeah, but what about their experience?
Byron has lots, but John is new to the business.
Now it's your turn to practice. We'll repeat the dialogue, but this time we're going to beep out the second speaker's words. You will have to say those parts yourself. Remember to start by saying John is not nearly as confident as Byron. Then you'll compare their experience with the word but. Here we go.
So, what did you think of the two job applicants? Yeah, but what about their experience?
All right, that about does it for this lesson. We've learned some great ways to talk about differences. In our next lesson, we'll look at using superlatives such as best and most to make comparisons. Until then, so long and happy learning.